This is Rob Tebbutt for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Delighted to be joined by the Flushing Flash Hall of Famer Kevin Kelley. We're here in Las Vegas ahead of Deontay Wilder's rematch with Tyson Fury. Kev, nice to meet you. How are you, champ?
I'm doing good, doing great. Fight week, look at it, it's great.
Fight week indeed here in Las Vegas for a huge heavyweight rematch. You still get your juices going, still get you excited coming to Las Vegas and seeing such big heavyweight fight?
Well, I'm excited about a fight for the fans. If they're paying me, then it'll be a different story. But the idea that I'm here for the fans is great because the idea is very simple. This is what keeps boxing alive. This is what boxing is really about. You know, Wilder didn't, he just said, okay, let's do it again. The public wants it, let's do it again.
What did you make of the first fight, Kev? I haven't spoken to you about that. We had a brief conversation off camera, but I haven't asked you about how the first fight went. How did you feel the first fight went?
The first fight, I think Fury was winning the fight until he got caught the first time. So people understand that when you get knocked down 2 times, that's a 10-8 round. So that means that you need 6 rounds to come back. That makes the fight dead even. So he was knocked down twice. So that means you lose 2 points. So that's what made the fight dead even. But I thought that Fury was doing a hell of a boxing job on Wilder, and Wilder needs those knockdowns to stay in close.
Were you surprised with Tyson Fury's performance in the first fight? I mean, obviously a lot of people went into that fight expecting him to lose quite convincingly, quite quickly in the fight in a lot of people's eyes. Were you surprised at his boxing ability?
Very shocked. I think he's one of the best boxers probably out there right now in the game. He's a phenomenal boxer. I mean, the stuff that he does and the angles that he shoots from, he's underrated. He's very underrated. This is going to solidify how good he is. Like I told people before, there's no such thing as great fighters. Something as great fights, and this is one. This is going to be history.
Who would you liken Tyson Fury to, if you could, of any heavyweight that there's been so far?
Who would I like?
Who could you liken him to? Could you compare him to any heavyweight that you've seen before? Obviously, he's 6'9", he's like 260, 270 pounds, and he moves around the ring pretty fleet-footed for a man of that size.
In comparison, he reminded me a little bit of Chris Bird with his hand speed, but Chris Bird's not that big. So there's nobody in comparison like him. So being that big. What makes him amazing and iconic at the same time is that he's that big, but he's that fast. You know what I'm saying? That's like Ali. Ali was 6'4", but he was fast. That's not usually normal. So what happens is that's what Tyson Fury is. He's got something that's special. He's got speed and accuracy, right? And he's got that size to do it. It's like, it's weird. They almost don't go together. You know what I'm saying? So I look at it, when I watch him fight, I have to watch him in amazement. Like, what the? Because you're not used to seeing a guy that big be that. Look, Wilder's almost the same size he is, and he's not that fast, right? So think about it. Wilder, he probably confuses Wilder too. Like, how's he hitting me so many times, and he's so big? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense.
Now, you've mentioned kind of Tyson Fury's size and his boxing ability and his ability to move on his feet. In this fight, in a lot of people's eyes, myself included, it throws up the traditional styles make fights. You've got Tyson Fury, who is the skillful outside switch-hitting boxer, and you've got Deontay Wilder, who has this concussive knockout power. Is that how you see the fight? Yes,
you know, both have a secret weapon. Wilder's weapon was not a secret no more. Wilder's weapon is the punching power all day, and the boxing ability of Fury. So this is a battle of the ages. Think of it like this: Sugar Ray versus Hagler. Hagler's the puncher, Sugar Ray's the speed, right? In front of Whitaker and everybody, Camacho and everybody. Speed versus power. Which one wins, right? That's always been a battle. Ali and Sonny Liston, battle. Usually speed wins. Most of the time, speed will win. I'm the fast fighter, but I can punch, but most of the guys that I fought with punch, like Goya Vargas, big punches, I beat because of my speed. Now, it's how well Fury moves and handles it. He's fighting a guy that's got 1 decision. You know what I'm saying? So that proves if he hits Fury, and I give Fury credit for getting up, that was amazing that he got up. And that shows will. And like I said, he got up in the 12th round. That's a lot of, that's amazing to me. So like I said, he is the Gypsy King.
How would you compare Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury and the rest of the modern heavyweights to the heavyweights that are around in your era? We spoke off camera about the New York heavyweights and Riddick Bowe, Mike Tyson, etc. You mentioned Chris Bird, got the likes of Evander Holyfield from the same era. How do these two guys compare to those?
You know, people always want to compare eras. You know, you really can't. It's something that, somebody's saying they try to compare me to, Sandy Salah, Willie Pep, in that era. It's hard because the rules are different too. You know what I'm saying? Now, they have 15 rounds. We got 12 now. I think they would do pretty decent, but you have big guys. Riddick Bowe's big. So Riddick Bowe and Wilder would have been a great fight. And Riddick could punch. Holyfield's a monster at his size. He's like Usyk, from cruiserweight to heavyweight. It'd be interesting. You know what I'm saying? It's like saying steak from 20 years ago and steak today. You know what I'm saying? So I just leave it in that realm. Let them have their era. Let they run their era. And let the people dream about, fantasize about eras. Okay? And that's the way it is.
We mentioned the first fight at the start of the interview. Obviously, since then, both men have had 2 fights. Deontay Wilder knocked out Dominic Breazeale, then he knocked out Luis Ortiz again. Tyson Fury knocked out Thomas Schwartz, and then had that bloodbath with Otto Wallin back in September in Las Vegas. With that being said, who do you give the advantage to going into the rematch, considering that form?
There's no advantage because both men, right? I mean, styles make fights. So Dante's got a style, and so does Fury. So the bottom line is, who's going to alter their style to make a difference? That's what I'm looking for. I've even had conversations with Mark. I haven't talked to the trainer of Fury, but I talked to Mark. I go back with Mark Whelan to '84. He's from Brooklyn like me. And I was trying to see if they're going to change something up. Each man got to do something that's unique. While Fury keeps saying he's going to knock Wilder out. I didn't see no traces of that in the first fight. They have that capability to do that. So I doubt that's going to happen. I think it's a game plan to make Wilder think he's going to try to knock him out, but he's going to box him.
Without kind of over divulging your secrets, as it were, as you mentioned Mark Breland, who is obviously part of Team Wilder, so I'm sure he wouldn't forgive you for talking a little bit too much about this. But what would you like to see from each fight, considering what you saw in the first fight, in order for them to be successful in the rematch? What do you think each fighter needs to do differently from the first fight?
Well, the one thing that Tyson Fury did was he hit and then he went backwards to get away from Wilder's shot. If I was training him, I would say punch and step to the right, step to the left. Now, with Wilder, his jab is kind of like a crooked arm jab. I would tell him, snap the jab, snap, 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 and right hand, more like Tommy Hearns. That's what I think Wilder lacked in that first fight. He couldn't get off. He's not used to movement like that, okay? And the big thing is the way you hit a guy that moves is with a jab. The jab you can't mess up. So there's some little tweak in there. We got to see if each camp did it. You know what I'm saying? If Mark, you're trying to get that jab to pop, 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 because Wilder has a good jab. It's just that you don't see it. And then he does this crooked arm jab. It's like, and Fury, if I was him, step to the side. Instead of stepping away, the rule in boxing is it doesn't change. You throw your combination and you go to left or right. You go 1, 2, 3 like this, I step back, I lose my distance. Now I got to make my distance back up. So that's the part of boxing that was missing in the Fury fight.
Obviously, Anthony Joshua is unified champion in the division after his win over Andy Ruiz back in December. But this is 2 undefeated fighters. You've got the lineal champion against the WBC champion. Does the winner of Saturday night's fight, in your opinion, become the number 1 in the heavyweight division?
Not really. Because we don't know what's going to happen, number 1. And the winner, if Fury wins, we got to go rematch 3, right? We need a trilogy. If Wilder wins, knocks him out, of course, people are going to scream Joshua, right? I don't think that fight's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Not right away. It's a big fight for Fury to fight. Now, the way I would skate with it, let Fury fight Joshua, and if Fury beats Joshua, he gets the belt again, then third fight. You know what I'm saying? Just my human nature, people, the public, I think they're going to win a third fight. Okay? If Fury wins this fight, it's going to be a third fight guaranteed right away. If Wilder wins the fight, it depends on how he wins it. It ain't just winning. It's how he wins. To shut this whole thing down, he's got to knock him clean out. If he knocks Fury clean out, that whole conversation goes away. But if it goes 12 rounds, there's room for more argument.
You mentioned that Anthony Joshua, you wouldn't see that fight happening if Deontay Wilder was to emerge victorious. You wouldn't see Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. Why is that?
I wasn't crazy about the fight when he fought Ruiz. I wasn't crazy about it. I don't think he's as sharp as he used to be, it looks to me. So I don't know what's wrong, Maybe the fight did something to him. They just fight. Wilder can really crack. You know what I'm saying? And I think until Joshua fights somebody else, it shows us that he's back, the maintenance has happened, he repaired himself, then I think we can start talking about that fight. And like I said, I want to see Alexander Usyk to the party. I want Usyk to fight somebody, all right, and get into this fray. I think it's worth doing. And I think I would like Usyk to fight Joshua, Not mean to take the belts. I'm not against you, right? But if he takes the belts and then groom a fight up between Wilder and Usyk, which would be down the road, maybe a year from now, which would be a very good matchup. Because Usyk's a southpaw, and now we don't know if Ortiz, when he fought Ortiz, that leftiness that Ortiz has gave Wilder some problems.
You mentioned Alexander Usyk. We've seen him fight once at heavyweight since unifying all of the belts down at cruiserweight. We've been delayed for another fight purely because of his injuries. Are you concerned about that moving forward? Do you think that the added weight could potentially run him down?
We don't know until he gets in the ring. It's all trial and error. Everything's trial and error. When you go up in weight, it's how you gain the weight. Are you a heavyweight? But remember one thing, he won a gold medal in heavyweight in Olympics. So he's used to being a heavyweight. So he dropped weight to be a cruiserweight. So he might be more comfortable at heavyweight. It might be his time to do it. But as he's aging too, so age has something to do with it. People don't know, there's a lot of factors, people in boxing that make a difference. And the only way we can tell is let the bell ring.
Just before we get wrapped up, Kevin, talk to me about being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Obviously, it's a holy grail for a lot of fighters throughout their career. Being who you are and going through what you went through in your career, what does it mean to you to be able to have that kind of adulation towards the end of your career?
Hall of Fame, to me, I thought, and back in 1997, I thought I did it all, and you get a wake-up call. I was 97, I was going to these dinners, and these guys were talking about this Hall of Fame up in Canastota. And I was like, what? And I never, I was like 40, something like that, somewhere around there. And I was like, huh? And I got humbled real quickly because I went to the Hall of Fame up in Canastota, and I was with all these greats. And they had this Hall of Fame ring on, I'll never forget it. And I realized I had to get back to work. And I promised Marvin Hagler that I was going to fight Smoke Gaynor, right, next. And Hagler said, promise me to fight. So to me, the Hall of Fame is like the holy grail. There's champions, there's world champions in boxing like could be in this room, and then there's the Hall of Famers in the room, right? And there's only a few of them. So you might have 12 world champions in this room, but you might have only 2 Hall of Fame fighters. So that's what separates the pack, right? Many have done it, but the bottom line is, and you get used to the champions being around you. Vegas has a lot of world champions. A few of us are Hall of Famers. And I'm in 3 halls right now. New York, Vegas, Rochester. I'm waiting for Brophy to call me up. And, some people tell you you're a walking legend anyway. But until that ring is put on your finger, and this one is the BU, and my BC is at home, the rings are what matter. I like the rings. I do enjoy the rings. I mean, you live for them. That's the belts, we keep those. We can't wear those around the house or wear those wherever, you know what I'm saying? They can't hold our pants up. But the rings we can wear.
Okay, well, before I let you go, I wouldn't be doing myself or our British audience justice without talking about that fight that night in Madison Square Garden. I do apologise. You had a lot of great wins in your career. I do hate to talk about a fight that you sadly did not win.
3 great wins. Three fights I hear about in my career are very simple. It goes this way. I got 72 pro fights. I hear about me and Troy Dorsey, me and Smoke Gaynor, and me and Naseem. So that's made my whole career, those 3 fights. Even though I got 72 of them, those 3 fights are the ones that stand out. It's just like Hagler Hearns, Hagler Durant, right? No matter who you fight, nobody talks about me and Goya Vargas when my first world title. When I won my second world title, when I got this ring, Luis Espinosa, they will talk about me and Prince, me and Dorsey, and me and Gaynor all day. So that fight, the Prince fight, that's my boy, People don't know that I went overseas, I needed an opponent. I needed a dance partner. HBO was requiring me to have a dance partner. I told them, okay. I seen this guy in a magazine. At the time, I was the leading featherweight in the world, and nobody would fight me. It sucked. So I seen this guy, Prince Naseem. I flew to England on his fight. He knew I was there. I challenged him. Frank Warren said they don't need me. They were right, but I needed them. So I figured, fights are built in challenges. And I just looked at it like, okay, cool. He's over here in Europe fooling the people. That's what I thought, right? He's a good fighter, and I was like fooling the people, but come to America. We got some real fighters over there. And he sent me home, and I heard he was coming to America. So I went back over there again and jumped in the ring. That's the footage you got on YouTube, and challenged him again. We had no contract signed. People don't know this, even though he was in America, until the day before the fight. People don't know that. So the day before the fight, he actually signed the contract finally. And after the fight was over, even though he said in the ring, we rematched, I would have loved to fight him anywhere. I know me and the Prince, we get along, we're good friends. He calls me from time to time. People don't know that. We actually good friends, okay? It's just that we're competitive and we go at it with their bell rings. And I told them we offered a fight in Dubai for a lot of money, very lot of money. And I thank Prince because without him and me, the featherweights wouldn't get the money they're getting today. That fight set the bar way higher. And people, to this day don't know that. And that fight happened in '97, changed the dynamic of the sport. And it made people realize, and I've been trying to campaign and tell people all the time, lightweights is where it's at. You say heavyweights, no. Lightweights. Because I can do the same job Wilder and them are doing, same job they're doing, right? I'm gonna produce a knockout, right? If somebody gets careless. It's gonna be quick and fast. So me and the Prince, definitely, I would love to have a conversation or talk about the fight like this in this manner. Because me and him have a conversation. And I know the viewers will love to hear what was going through our head. And the conversation that he told me, you had the Prince up, trust me. The conversation that he told me, what he was thinking and what I was thinking, woo, maybe that'll come up pretty soon and we'll do a pay-per-view event like that.
I'd certainly be interested in seeing that. Can maybe get you on Boxing Social to do it. What does it mean to you? I mean, people still talk about that fight in the UK now. I mean, they talk about it around the world, of course, but particularly in the UK. I mean, it's one of the iconic fights of the 20th century in the UK. What does that mean to you that people over 20 years later are still talking about that fight?
Yeah, it's crazy. Somebody had put an ad up about 9 years ago, Prince Kelley rematch. The internet went crazy, right? I was retired, and so was he. He retired before I did. It's weird to have that kind of emphasis on the sport. You want it. Every fighter wants it. Every fighter wants a fight that sticks out. But one of those, Hearns got a Hagler, right? That's a great 4-round fight. Sugar Ray. I go back to Jack Johnson, right? When he blocked his eyes from his son. I go back to Sandy Sally Willie Pep, right? Everybody wants one that sticks out. I'm just glad I got one, right? A lot of guys don't get it. I mean, even the great Floyd, right? As good as he is. Roy Jones Jr., as good as he is. We don't have that iconic fight. They remember, in that facet, they remember when you get beat. When you get beat, then it's big. Like Tyson Buster Douglas, you know what I'm saying? Mike was so dominant in the sport that it took Buster Douglas to beat him to now something that we got balance on. You know what I'm saying? Something to go back and forth. I feel honored that people adore me and the Prince fight, me and the Gainer fight, and me and Troy Dorsey. But like I told him, you never know what you've done until your career's over. You don't know. Nobody knows. You just hope and pray. But I'm glad that I celebrate that with the Prince. I'm so glad we share that family. I love the idea I share with Troy Dorsey, and I love the idea I share with Gainer. All right? Out of 3 fights, I won 2 and I lost 1, so not bad.
Not bad at all. Final one from me about that night in Madison Square Garden, or really when beforehand. You mentioned kind of the footage and the ringside interview where you told him you were going to smoke his boots.
Yes.
And then later on he said that you hit him in the first round and he felt his feet on fire in the ring. What was it like to have that?
He said that his feet came out of his shoes when I hit him. And I told him, because this is what I felt about the fight. There was a lot of stuff going on in the media, right? A lot going on in the media. And I felt a little bit unjust when he came to America, right? But I needed that because it created that intrigue. That intrigue created drama. The drama created substance, and the substance created a great fight. So we needed all elements combined to make a great fight work. Coming out of his shoes, when I hit him with his shots, I wanted to show him. At that point, I had nothing to prove. I'm 47-1. What is there to prove? I'm 2-time world champion already, right? Nobody. And he fought Tom Johnson. Tom Johnson wouldn't fight me. So, and neither would Junior Jones. So the thing is, I knew what I had. It's just a matter of seeing with the Prince, here's this guy. I just thought it was a show. He really can fight. He's a really good fighter. And I went in there, the biggest thing to this day, if you have a regret, I lost my cool a little bit. I should have kept my head. And I would have won. But I don't regret nothing of the fight because that fight had to happen that way for people to want a rematch. Because they knew the fight was going. So that's what it creates. It always going to have that intrigue in people's head. People didn't like him over here in Europe. And they wanted me to beat him. And everybody wanted me to beat him. So it created intrigue. And intrigue is a great thing. That's my brother, man. You know what I mean? At the end, every fighter should love the opponent, like Fury and Wilder will have this conversation 20 years from now. You know what I'm saying? And they're setting themselves up for great things because this fight probably will go down in history books, and they'll talk about it, and hopefully we get a third one.
Did Prince Naseem Hamed punch as hard as people say?
Nah, I got it from everything. Boxing punches perception. You know, did I hit him hard? Yeah, I punch hard too, right? I don't think they hit any harder than I hit. He got it from things I threw, and I got it right. It wasn't like knockout power. We got hit one shot, and Wilder punches. It was good. Like I said, you know, Goyle Vargas was the hardest puncher I got hit by ever. But boxing power is perception. You know what I'm saying? I tell people, when you hit somebody, it's like somebody who throws farther, right? You don't know, right? Who hits harder, right? You don't know. It's all perception. So when you hit somebody, you say, he didn't hit that hard. To the other guy, he hits hard as heck. So it's all perception. But Prince, he can punch, definitely. Definitely. He knocks me down, definitely. He can punch.
You shared the ring with both him and Marco Antonio Barrera in your career. Obviously, we saw what happened when them two faced off against each other. Do you feel like Naz fulfilled his potential? Do you feel like he went off the boil towards the end of his career? Or do you feel like, in some people's eyes, he was exposed against Marco Antonio Barrera?
Well, the truth of the matter is that Barrera followed my game plan, okay? What happened was, he didn't fall off the mark. What happened was, see, America is different than Europe. So what happens is, when you lose a fight, they want to see you come back. So if you lose a fight and you don't come back and prove that you are who you are in America, they think, they push you to the side. It's harder to make it in America than over there, over the pond. I fought in the pond a lot of times. I fought in Holland like crazy in Germany. But in America, they didn't really focus in on him because after he got beat by Barrera, he never returned, except for he got one fight, he returned, and then he retired. So, but he told me, and I'm holding him credible to it, that, you know, people don't understand what was going through. He had a baby, he had another baby, and he had all the matters going on in his life. And he wanted to spend time with his kids because he was taken away from his kids a lot. And boxing does that. You got to share your family. So I understand his value, but his commitment to the sport, coming back, beating somebody and winning another world title, was solidified who he was. Even a rematch with me, you know what I'm saying? It leaves that window open. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I came back and won a second world title, because I didn't want to leave the window open. You know what I'm saying? Because if he won a title, he's good, but like what Joshua just came back, he won a title again, he proved himself. People in boxing, you're always proving yourself. You have to. Because if you don't, your career is going to be a question.
Okay, well, Kevin Kelley, the Flushing Flash, thanks very much for speaking to Boxing Social. It's been a real pleasure to speak to you. Look forward to hopefully catching up with you one day soon. But yeah, thanks very much for speaking to Boxing Social.
Thank you for having me. You know, look for more in the future. Look for the THE Sucker Punch 2018 if you have Instagram. Download us. Take a look at what we're doing. It's big things. We're going podcast next. Me and Colin Gates. Watch it.
You've been told. Kevin Kelley, thanks very much.
Thank you very much.